everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and we happen to feature beer every single week. You can also find us on nerdinitiative.com. We are under the podcast that they love because we also are part of the Nerd Initiative team. Check out our comic book reviews weekly over on the Nerd Initiative bullpen. Do that, make your life better for it. Come check out some comic book recommendations. I'm Matt. With me is Lauren. Today's episode is actually going to be all about classic Disney rides, from the Carousel of Progress to the Haunted Mansion. We are going to talk about all sorts of classic Disney rides. If you are first tuning in, we're all about Disney life here, man. We love it. We love all of that good stuff. So make sure to check it out. Do yourselves a favor. And if you want to find us, any social media platform, Hops Geek News, any podcasting platform as well, Hops Geek News. And if you want to support the show, everything comes into making a better product, going to Comic-Cons, putting out great content, patreon.com/HopsGeekNews. With that said, my beer of the week is from Weathered Souls Brewing Company. It is called Hopped and Bougie. I am a bougie Betty over here, always. As you can see, I got my Roosevelt shirt on. I like to theme our shirts. We also, next week's episode is going to be with Josh Trujillo, who we're going to talk some Blue Beetle. Man, I'm so bad with Lauren's going to pronounce the name on that episode. As you can see, I'm terrible with pronunciations. But yes, Roosevelt's, by the way, they don't sponsor us, but if they want to, hey, check out their shirts. I'm wearing a DC Comics shirt. We're going to be talking about Blue Beetle in preparation for the movie. This, however, is a double IPA with Nelson, Salvin, Eldorado, and Citra hops, coming in at 8.6% alcohol by volume. Weathered Souls out of San Antonio, Texas. Always doing amazing things, doing great things for the community. Check them out if you haven't. Do yourselves a favor. Lauren, what are you drinking?
So since we're talking Disney classics, I had to go with a classic beer. So I'm actually drinking a Guinness. And of course, I have it in my Big Al glass again, because Big Al is featured in one of the Disney classics we're going to be talking about. You kind of sang that, like kind of how he sang, man. The twang. They do the twang in the show. So Matt incorrectly introduced what we're going to be talking about. It's actually Disney classic rides at Disneyland and Magic Kingdom that Matt has never done, and Haunted Mansion. So that's the real theme of tonight's episode.
Haunted Mansion. I love Haunted Mansion. That's a great ride.
That's why I said and Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, well, we'll get into the meat and potatoes, if you will, in a minute. We always like to start our show, though, by talking about things that we've messed up on, what we've been reading or watching. And of course, we like to dive into some of the news, the latest in pop culture news. So, Lauren, we made a goof up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I blame the internet. On our Barbenheimer episode, we did this before we recorded before the strike started, before the movies came out. And we said that the woman who was the creator of Barbie was in the movie, and her name is Barbara, and Barbie was named after her. That is incorrect. The old lady on the bench is not the original Barbie. That rumor is flying all over the place. I even saw another video the other day. If you go to IMDb, you will see that it is not her. So just wanted to clear that up. This is one of those mess ups that I wish we could go back and edit the episode.
Yeah, somebody was like, isn't it the daughter? Somebody thought the daughter sitting on the bench in that Barbie scene. That's not really a spoiler, but they're like, oh, that's the daughter of the Barbie inventor. No, it wasn't.
That'd be cool if it was.
It would be cool, but that's just a friend of director Greta Gerwig's.
I'm wondering if that rumor started because somebody's like, oh, I wonder if. And
they see an old lady
took off.
They're like, oh, it's Barbie, though. So the founder or somebody. And actually, dark fun fact, Kenneth, the son who was named after Ken, he actually passed away of cancer in the 90s at 52. So unfortunately, that is sad. But let's dive into some uplifting news. Lauren, why don't you kick us off with what you've been watching or reading this week? Because I got a laundry list.
Yeah, no, I did see the Barbie movie, but because we are supporting the strike, we're not really going to talk about that stuff too much. I know it sucks. It hurts our soul because we talk about what we read or watch.
It's tough, but you know what's even tougher? Not being paid for your work and not being paid fairly and not making a livable wage. So, we support the strikes here.
Yes. Yeah. And they're not saying to do a boycott on anything. So we're still watching things on our own time and going to the movies and everything.
You can do reviews from a critic standpoint, just saying.
So yeah, I don't really, it's all so gray. I don't know what we're allowed to do or not. But you know what I'm allowed to talk about is Shark Week. I did watch some Shark Week. So as always, some of the episodes have been good. Some of them have not been great. Yesterday or last night, they did an episode called Florida Shark, and it was about some attacks in Florida. And they were, experimenting with sound and murky water and things that could cause shark attacks and how to prevent shark attacks. Because Florida has the most shark attacks of anywhere in the world. However, you're more likely to survive a shark attack in Florida because they're usually like, smaller sharks like a black tip or something. However, after that, they then did cocaine sharks, and that was just stupid. I got about 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes into it and had to turn it off. So remember how you heard
insane.
well, because of cocaine bear, and then a lot of coke gets lost in the ocean when they're trying to get it into the States. You don't want to get caught with coke. So what do? You dump it in the ocean. And so sometimes bales of coke will come up onto shore and, in Florida. I personally have never seen that happen. So these two people decide that they're going to go on a dive. It's like the first woman ever in Shark Week history to show up with a full face of makeup and hair done because it's South Florida. And the guy, they go into the water and they're like, we're going to go see if any of these sharks are high on cocaine, basically. And they get down into the face of a nurse shark. And a nurse shark, when you're snorkeling, they're nocturnal animals for the most part. So most of the time you just see them hanging out on the bottom. However, I have seen many a nurse shark swimming in the ocean when I was snorkeling. This motherfucker goes down into the shark's face and basically is like in the shark's face. So the shark swims away and then he's like, oh, this shark must be high on cocaine because he's very active. I had to turn it off. It was so stupid.
Wow.
But for the most part, a lot of the Shark Week this year has been good. I've enjoyed quite a few of them. And I did finish the second Thrawn book. Absolutely loved it. It kept going back and forth between Anakin and Thrawn, and then Vader and Thrawn. And the whole thing took place on Batuu or near Batuu, which again is from Disney's Galaxy's Edge. That's Batuu.
So when does Thrawn appear at Galaxy's Edge? Come on.
Oh my God, I was thinking that'd be so cool if it was Thrawn and Vader
show when it comes out, because it takes place.
But when does the Ahsoka show take place? Is it during Mando or is it right after Rebels? Okay, that's what I thought. So then at that point, I mean, yeah, I guess they could. Because the whole thing now is like people have
around Batuu. Okay, why can't they put Thrawn out there?
I know it doesn't make any.
I blew myself.
And Kylo Ren's walking around Batuu.
Yeah, why is Kylo Ren still walking around out there? Like, get some new material.
I don't know. It's mainly stormtroopers, and you see Chewie walking around, but Chewie has obviously the Millennium Falcon is docked there.
Hot as shit suit, so he doesn't do a whole lot of walking around and interacting. That's for sure.
I did finally see Mando. The guy didn't make it 10 steps out of the door he walked out of because there was nowhere to walk before he had to turn around and go back in. So that's what I've been reading or watching. And I did watch X2, which we're going to talk about on our Patreon episode.
Patreon exclusive episode X2. We are breaking down those movies. Come on over, join us, support the show. I have seen some movies. I did the Barbenheimer back to back last Friday. Let me tell you, greatest cinematic experience that I've personally experienced. I won't talk about the movies, but I will just say Oppenheimer left me sad and depressed. Barbie brought me an existential crisis. And I'm going to go ahead and say that Barbie was my favorite movie of the year so far. I'm going to say it.
Similar feelings on the Barbie movie. I didn't see Oppenheimer though.
We'll talk about it later, I guess. And I did see Joyride last night. I went with Rob from formerly of Woodland Empire. He was getting ready to move, so him and I went and saw Joyride. Hilarious comedy. Go watch that movie. I definitely recommend it. Was not expecting it to be that funny. I have been watching Supernatural season 7. I'm like up to episode 8 of season 7 of Supernatural. I know we have to talk about season 6 still. My bad. There's been a lot going on, man. We will. You will. And other than that, man, I've been reading comics. I read Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 110, the prelude to Darkness, because their 12-month event is about to kick off the Darkest Hour. Mistress Vile, aka Rita Repulsa, has gone to the Arch and pretty much unleashed all hell is breaking loose on the Morphin Grid and the universe. Power Rangers are trying to stop her. Lord Zed also has discovered that he also has a morpher now, so he's a Red Ranger. It's crazy. Definitely go read that from the Boom Comics team. And also go read my review on Nerd Initiative. Every week, we're going to be doing cool stuff like that. Aside from that, I have read Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 4 from the Hive Mind, aka Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. Great storyline right now. And you kind of dive into Rocket in a little bit on this issue number 4. So read that one. And then I'm reading the Night Terror series from DC. I can't say enough how enthralling this series is. It's, man, they've got villains. So like Catwoman's got her own. They've got all sorts of just, there's this one scene, and her name blanks me now. I'm so sorry. There's an issue focusing on a villain, and she thinks that she has killed Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, but it turns out obviously Insomnia is the bad guy. Everybody's asleep in this dream world. And there's this really cool sequence where zombie Batgirl comes out after her, and it's really freaking cool, really dope, really kind of spooky. So read that. It's just 2 issues from each one that they're doing. So it's going to wrap up in August. So not like you're going to need to really do a lot of reading, but at the same time, there's probably like 10 different viewpoints of this storyline going on. So probably 20 comics in total. Phenomenally well done every single week. And like I said, it wraps up in August. Aside from that, I haven't read anything else, haven't watched anything else. That's kind of what I've been diving into. And so dive into some news now. First things first, I will say this: Barbie has crossed $500 million worldwide at the box office. It's going to make $1 billion. Guaranteed. Guaranteed this movie's going to hit $1 billion. Just from the fact that the theaters are packed. Like, theaters are packed for Oppenheimer and Barbie, and even in Idaho, the theaters are packed, which says that this movie is doing really good, because Idaho is one of the more conservative states, right? In the fact that the theaters people are just dressed. You go in the lobby of the theater, everybody's dressed up for Barbie. It is so cool to see. And it's just great to see that the movies are back. Now, if only they can get paid for the work that they're doing.
Right.
But
well, and this movie was evidence of why writers need to be paid more.
Well, they're taking all of the wrong lessons, because now they're going to make a Barbie cinematic universe where there's going to be a ton of spinoffs coming out from this movie. And Mattel also has like 45 movies in the works.
I want a Barbie and the Rockers movie.
I mean,
Barbie and the Rockers.
There's going to be ups and downs. I doubt that it's going to be a shitty cinematic universe. Like, if they follow kind of what the heart and soul of this movie was, then I don't have doubts. However, they can't really build a cinematic universe if you don't have writers and actors. Just saying. Just throwing that one out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be fun if Ken had more of a story of how he finds himself.
Or Ryan Gosling goes on an adventure to find himself. That would be cool.
Oh, see, now we're talking about it. It's funny seeing Gravik in it. Okay, it's hard not to. Yeah. Okay, anyways, so let's go back to more news.
Let's go back into some news. Speaking of crappy studios doing crappy things, Netflix apparently has a AI job up there. They're like, do something with AI. And they're posting that job for $900,000 salary. Insane.
Did you see the episode of Black Mirror where they talk about the AI and they literally make fun of themselves?
Yeah, wasn't it the one where it's a girl?
It's got Selma Hayek,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see it. We're living it. So
yeah, which is kind of interesting because it was created by Netflix and they're literally part of it. It's almost like it was a warning.
And now they're offering a $900,000 a year paying job for AI stuff. It's a very dark road that we're kind of heading down. It sucks. So, Lauren, why don't you take us off with what news you have?
I don't really have much other than Netflix is getting more expensive along with everything else in the world.
Being alive is expensive.
Yes. And Invincible season 2 comes out November 3rd. However, there is currently an Adam Eve show out, which talks about her origin story. And that's already on Prime right now.
Yeah. And there was a lot of comic book news out of San Diego Comic-Con, which I didn't have a chance to go through yet. It's been kind of hectic here. I'm getting ready to move in 3 weeks, maybe. And so we will have more comic book news next week that came out of San Diego Comic-Con once I can sit down, pile through it, because it was actually really refreshing that it was about comics this year.
Yeah.
Not so much the movies. I liked it. I won't lie. And so we're going to go into our main topic where we're going to talk about classic Disney rides that Matt hasn't ridden, rode, gone on, been there at Disneyland,
experienced,
and Magic Kingdom.
Enjoyed.
And then we're also going to talk the Haunted Mansion in honor of you know what. And I have tickets to that thing too. So let's go into some main topic time. Lauren, take us away.
So Disneyland opened July 27th, 1955, and Magic Kingdom opened October 1st, 1971. So some of these rides were around when they opened. Some of them weren't. However, we are mainly going to be talking some fun facts, some creepiness, and wondering how Matt hasn't done any of these. But all of these rides are from the 70s and before, so nothing new. However, at least one of them are still open today. So we're going to start with Carousel of Progress. This was the ride we recently talked about, where I was surprised Matt had never even heard about it, because somebody has suggested that if they were to do another Disney ride movie, they should do a horror spinoff of Carousel of Progress, which I love.
And after looking into it, yes, they should.
So Carousel of Progress opened in 1975. It's a rotating theater showing the evolution of technology throughout a couple centuries, each taking place during a holiday with the same family, and it ends in a past futuristic setting. So basically the setting used to be futuristic and now it just kind of looks like the past. They did update it a little bit recently, but it's still, my Alexa's way better than anything they have in that part of the ride.
I mean, why would you spend money on stuff like this that, I don't know, maybe that's part of the aesthetic. It's just old and broken down.
Well, it's also, it's a classic. But it's funny seeing some of the stuff. And obviously Epcot is in the process of change. Like they used to have the whole future world and they've totally stripped that down. And it's been under construction for the last 4 years because they can't keep up with the future world anymore. And Disney's been trying to keep up with it for centuries, but it's like the future just catches up so quick. And that technology just
isn't even necessarily future world at this point.
Yeah, right. Did you ever see Meet the Robinsons? Very underrated cartoon. I really
love that movie. First of all, it's severely underrated, big time.
When they get to the future, it says Todayland instead of Tomorrowland. Yes. I love that. Okay, so Carousel of Progress. Walt Disney originally conceived the show as part of a new area of the Disneyland park called Edison Square. When the concept was completely abandoned, the idea was reimagined, and it actually opened up under Progress Land at the 64-65 World's Fair. It was then at Disneyland from 1967 to 73. And then it got packed up and moved to Walt Disney World. So that is interesting. This wasn't like they opened it up here. They literally moved it. When it was moved, it was rewritten and restaged with a new theme song called The Best Time of Your Life. However, in 94, it got changed back to the original song, which is It's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. And this is a Sherman Brothers classic. And if those names don't sound familiar, they probably do. But if they don't, they've written so many famous Disney songs, all the Mary Poppins songs, a lot of the rides at Disney. I promise you
I only know Phil Collins, okay?
Oh, from Tarzan? Oh, I still have that CD somewhere. That and Lion King, two best Disney soundtracks that are out there. But there's a documentary on them, and it's actually called The Boys. So if you search The Boys on, Alexa,
get one of two things.
Yeah. They'd sing Feed the Birds, so many Disney songs. So while today there is never a wait to get on the ride, back in 64, despite holding 200 guests, the ride could have an over the hour-long wait. So this is a 21-minute long ride if you haven't been on it. However, you are seated and it is air conditioned.
I'm sorry, that sounds legit awful. 21 minutes.
It's not something we do every time, but every now and then. I am serious, Eddie. It is a 21-minute ride. It's the longest running stage show in the history of American theater. And despite Walt having passed before Magic Kingdom opened, this is the oldest attraction at Walt Disney World to have been touched by Walt himself. Oh. If you do go on it, it is worth going on because it's so silly and so ridiculous. And everyone, man, things couldn't get better.
I can't wait for the TikTok video we make where Lauren's just sitting there videoing my entire 21-minute reaction to this nightmarish hellscape.
It's one of Jessica's favorite rides at Disney.
Oh my God.
She hasn't been a pass holder in a minute, but like a lot of the kids when they were all still little, I don't know what we were doing, but all of a sudden Jessica's taking all of the children to Carousel of Progress. We're like, good luck to you keeping the kids still for 21 minutes in there.
I'm saying, like, God bless.
But, again, sometimes it's nice because you're literally sitting in like theater seats and then you move around the stage, but you don't have seatbelts or anything. You can stay in wheelchairs if you need to. So in the final scene, if you do go into it, there are 4 hidden Mickeys. There's a Nutcracker Mickey on the fireplace. There's a Mickey Peppermill in the kitchen. There is a dining room painting with Mickey in it. And there is a Mickey plush under the tree. And so a couple fun facts that I thought were really cool. One, there's this weird Uncle Orville character that's like in the tub during 4th of July because it's really hot and they don't have air conditioning. And it's the same voice as Bugs Bunny. And the narrator is Gene Shepherd. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because he's the same guy that narrated Christmas Story.
I thought we've established I'm really bad with names. Like Carrie,
Gene Shepherd,
like, you know who sings this song? And I'm like, I have no idea. And she's like, it's the Beatles. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. I'm terrible with names.
Josh is bad with faces. He'll be like, yeah, that's that guy from this. And I'm like, you couldn't be more wrong.
Oh, you people look alike. Yeah. Let's go into the enchanted tiki room, if you will. Haven't been on this ride. However, it is a show in Adventureland where tropical birds, tiki gods, and colorful flowers come to life in a swinging South Seas musical extravaganza. There are over 200.
It's a show, not a ride. Uncultured swine.
Well, I didn't know that.
You just sit on benches.
That sounds equally boring. But what doesn't sound boring is that there are over 225 choreographed audio animatronic performers. That sounds terrifying in its own right. The audio animatronic technology that powers the show's performers was first introduced to the world when this show opened. This was groundbreaking at the time. The technology allowed animators to synchronize movement, audio, and visual effects, which were then used in many other ride classics. It was originally going to be a restaurant. However, at the time, they decided that it would be a little too difficult to run while also running a restaurant. Man, Chuck E. Cheese has been doing it for years.
So yeah, Chuck E. Cheese, though, they believe got inspiration for Chuck E. Cheese from like a lot of this stuff, like especially Country Bear Jamboree.
That's true. That actually would make a lot of sense. This was also a Sherman Brothers song. Tiki, 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 tiki room.
Tiki. Well, you did really good considering you've never been in there.
I think I might have heard the song once. I don't know. I can pick up a tune, kids. When the show was at Disneyland, it was the first building to have air conditioning to assure that the technology wouldn't overheat in those hot, swampy Florida summers. While
it was Disneyland.
I'm sorry, California summers. Record scratch. While it opened at Disneyland in 1963, it then opened at Magic Kingdom as Tropical Serenade in 1998. It was actually redone as the Enchanted Tiki Room under new management, where Iago and Zazu.
Iago.
Oh, Iago.
From Aladdin.
Yes. And Zazu, we've established, once again, I'm I know Zazu. And they basically
he's the king's major domo.
That's right. This retheme is essentially like Bruno of attractions. A cast member at Disneyland told me that they don't talk about that.
Brought it up and he goes, we don't talk about that.
Yes. And then in 2011, there was actually a fire and the show had to close and reopen as the original Enchanted Tiki Room. So that's all they'll say. Your fun facts on that. Thank God I have Lauren here because then my messed up section would be astronomical next week.
No, you did pretty good. Iago does look funny. It looks like Lago.
Well, to be fair, you used a capital I, which looks like an L.
Yeah, because it's the proper name.
You know,
Listen, grammar.
I joined the military for a reason, even though ignore my bachelor's degree, but let's pretend I'm illiterate for a minute.
So should we get into the twang of the Big Al show?
Country Bear Jamboree.
Country Bear Jamboree opened the same day Magic Kingdom did on October 1st.
I got to interrupt for a second. I don't know why, but the Country Bear Jamboree just makes me think of like the opening to a horror movie or like Goosebumps, where the kids get taken by their parents to like this campground where like Jason Voorhees comes out and dressed like Smokey the Bear and he's just chopping kids up to pieces and parents are getting chopped up to pieces and then it's up to like a group of 12-year-olds to save the day. That might actually.
But it's probably why there's blood everywhere.
Huh, I might be onto something. I'm gonna write that script down later. More to come.
All of these movies would be great horror movies. Or all of these rides.
A lot of inspo right now, if you will.
I mean, even the Enchanted Tiki Bird.
I'm not going to write a writer strike. Not that I was ever a writer anyways. However.
You can write. You just can't sell it to anywhere right now.
That's true. That is very true.
You can still create. All right. So Walt Disney was involved in this attraction before he passed. It opened a year later at Disneyland. However, it closed at Disneyland in 2001. And there is a little nod to the ride inside the Winnie the Pooh ride there. There's a section where if you turn around, you see the big giant heads. Very creepy. I did watch it on YouTube because I wanted to see how it looked. Because they're like the hunting things. Like there's 3 heads on the wall. They're like somebody hunted and chopped their heads off, but they talk. So the show was supposed to be for a ski resort, but that never actually happened. So they decided to make it a theme park attraction instead. There was a movie that came out in 2002. Did you hear about that?
No, I
don't know anybody who's seen it. Yeah.
Was it a horror movie?
No, it was a kid's movie. And it's funny because they closed the ride at Disneyland in 2001 and then had a movie in 2002 called Country Bear Jamboree. And it's like, if I can remember that, I should have rewatched the trailer. I believe, and again, I've only seen the trailer, the little boy bear is very creepy looking, but he's being raised by humans and he wants to go find other people, put quotes around that are like him, and he finds the Country Bear Jamboree. I wonder if it's on Disney Plus. So there was a Christmas version at one point and there was a hoedown version at one point. But the one that they have now is the original Country Bear Jamboree. However, it has been edited. The show is not the most politically correct, and in 2012, it closed for refurbishment and reopened with some new outfits and a couple songs missing and a little bit of new dialogue. The one song that was removed was Devilish Mary. In this song, it said something about she hadn't been married but about 2 weeks. She got as mean as the devil, and every time I looked cross-eyed, she hit me on the head with a shovel. Ring-a-ding-ding, Mary, prettiest little gal I ever did see. Her name was Devilish Mary.
This was a family-friendly ride?
It was at Disney, so yeah.
Oh my God.
So this next song has not been removed, and it's the song that the guy on my glass sings, Big Al. So this is just a little clip from it.
There was blood on the sand and blood all around and a great big puddle of blood on the ground.
That's
This
still
is a
in the
family
show.
ride.
Yes. And there's one with 3 girls and they sing, all the guys turn me on, turn me down. I'm not kidding. This is still there. It's so funny.
Good heavens. I don't mean to pearl clutch, but good heavens. What?
Yeah. I have video of Logan calling something creepy when we were in there. He goes, that's creepy.
Yeah. I'm a little terrified. Great. Cool. So good to know that when I get to go on this ride, I'm going to get murdered. Awesome. Well, let's talk about something that's a complete 180, kind of. It's called the Jungle Cruise, and this ride was actually open the first day of Disneyland and Magic Kingdom. It's full of puns, and it actually gets a Christmas makeover wrapped in a boa.
But that is a joke from the ride.
Haha. Walt overheard a mother at the park tell her son they didn't need to go on Jungle Cruise again since they did it last time. This actually encouraged Walt's famous saying about the parks never being finished and always changing, which makes sense. The dad jokes were added later. It was originally all educational. And then,
which would be terrible.
Walt originally wanted real animals. However, that wasn't exactly going to work, but we ended up getting Kilimanjaro safaris at Animal Kingdom out of this, which is a really fun ride. I have been on that one. So Disney got its real life safari ride, and it's bigger than Disneyland. Not hard to beat. Kevin Costner, John Lasseter, and Ron Ziegler were all skippers before being actors. The water is dyed brown to look more natural and hide the tracks. And
backside of water. I had to put this in there. I don't really have a fun fact about it, but when you hear Jungle Cruise, and they did put this in the movie, you hear it's the 8th wonder of the world, the backside of water, just because they're riding under the waterfall. So it's a joke. So you can't talk about the Jungle Cruise without saying the backside of water.
Well, obviously, The Rock made a movie with Emily Blunt out of it. Go check it out. It's on Disney. I fell asleep halfway through and haven't revisited it.
I didn't finish it either. But they did use the backside of water, was mentioned in the movie. That was the best part of the movie, was when he said backside of water. So the People Mover, which I believe is the best ride ever, opened at Disneyland in July of 1967 and then closed there in August of 95. Actually, when I went there, I was kind of disappointed that they didn't have the People Mover. So it opened at Magic Kingdom in July of 75 and is still there and is still the best ride at Magic Kingdom. It goes through Space Mountain and Buzz Lightyear, as well as some little areas with futuristic advertising, some Disney history, and some beautiful views of Tomorrowland and of the castle. And if you time going on the ride just right, you get a great shot of the fireworks. And when they were building the Tron ride, this was a great way to see like how the construction of Tron was going, because you could kind of see behind the walls on it. While the whole ride isn't AC because it goes inside and out, part of it is, and it's covered from the sun and you can sit down. So again, a great little spot. One of these things that I personally have never done that I really want to do one day, and I hope I get to do it, it's on my Disney bucket list, is when Space Mountain is down or being refurbished, you can actually see it with the lights on when you're in the People Mover. So in Disneyland, they used Goodyear tires embedded in the track to propel the cars to move forward. However, in Florida, it accelerates magnetically using linear induction motors. I don't really know what any of that means, but that's what they do. The Disneyland People Mover was originally called the Wedway People Mover in honor of Walter Elias Disney. It was also the Goodyear People Mover because Disney used to have a lot of their rides sponsored. I don't know if you remember going there as a kid, but like they had like the Delta ride.
I never
went
to Disney as a kid. I didn't go to Disney until I was 25.
Oh my God. That's crazy. No wonder you haven't been on any of these rides.
Yeah, I never went to Disney till I was an adult. My parents, God, come on, my parents don't love me. Jeez.
Wow. So it was since you were 25 the first time you went. Well, do you remember what
now. Oh God, Carrie.
So the first time you went was with Carrie.
Yeah. So I went to Universal for the first time in Orlando. I'd never been to Orlando with my heterosexual life mate, Josh. And then I met Carrie right after that trip. And then we went to Disney together. I don't remember the first ride, but I do remember like the Muppets did a 4th of
the
July.
America show.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. That was cute. Over by the presidents.
What did your typical rides? But I didn't do any of these ones. That much I do know. I do know that, but we did It's a Small World because that's Carrie's favorite ride. Unfortunately.
So the first time you went was 7 years ago.
Yes.
Wow. See, I was a pass holder then. We could have gone together. So it was when you were stationed in Florida.
Yes. I was stationed in Florida. So I had been to Florida for Universal, and then I had gone to MegaCon, which we were unknowingly there together. And then the first time I was in Florida. Yeah, I didn't go until I got stationed in Florida in 2012, and I didn't go to Disney until 2015. So,
wow, I didn't realize. I honestly didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You had always mentioned like, oh, you didn't do these rides because you had a shit childhood, but I didn't really put it together.
Oh, we could. Hot Geek News meets therapy hour, folks. If you really want to unpack the childhood trauma I have.
And Matt didn't go to Disney until he was 25, and I had an annual pass at 4.
It's a tale of two tax brackets, two different lives.
My dad worked for Barnett Bank.
There you see again the tale of two tax brackets.
I feel like that ages me too, though. The age of I don't know how are we? Yeah, we're the same generation, right? You're a millennial.
Yeah, I'm not that far behind you. I'm 7 years behind you, which coincidentally.
But 7 years ago was the first time.
Yes, 7 years ago was actually.
That's a big difference.
I went to Disney.
But I'm an elder millennial. So have you heard of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride?
I have. And actually, Carrie and I looked at it. We're going to go in Disneyland. But for some reason, I don't know what happened. I think we went to Radiator Springs and we got over there.
That's at the other park.
Yeah. Well, we were going to go to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. The whole idea was we went on this last trip. We were going to do this kind of stuff, right? We were looking at the Alice ride, all of that. And, we got over to California Adventures, and for some reason we just never really went back, and we forgot about Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and I totally forgot.
I guess those two parks are as close as like
they're literally right next to each other.
To like America at Epcot, yeah, which is so crazy.
There's no
that blew my mind the first time I saw it. The first time I went to Disneyland, California Adventure wasn't there, so then when I went the first time to California Adventure in 2017, I was like. It's like Universal because you have Islands of Adventure next to it. Yes, and like so many people who have only been to Disney World, like it's like just mind blowing how different they are.
Like a tram to go to the different parks in Orlando. When you're in California,
a tram, you can't get by via tram. You gotta take a fucking car. You take a tram from the parking lot. Oh, you can take the monorail.
Yeah, the same fucking thing.
But the trams are what you take from your car to the park.
Yes. And so in California, the tram drops you off in downtown Disney, which is literally...
The tram is a joke at Disneyland.
It's literally right next to... You have on the left, Disneyland, their version of Magic Kingdom. And on the right, you have California Adventures, which houses Avengers Campus, Cars Land... all of that stuff.
Pixar Pier.
Yeah, Pixar. Well, is it Pixar Pier? They transformed San Francisco Pier, whatever it was, to something different now.
Well, it used to be, but it's Pixar Pier now, but they're adding San Fran Tokyo, the whole big Hero 6
San
thing.
Fran Tokyo, yes. And then at Disneyland, of course, it's the castle smaller and it's a very...
But it is the original. They have Walt's apartment.
Yeah, they have all that, but it's yeah. So they're right next to each other. You can literally walk out the gates from one, walk right into the other, and you're not having to take any monorail. There's no lengthy ride, none of that stuff.
I will say though, so when I went to Disneyland this last time on the day, like the kids wanted to go on the monorail and I was like, oh, we'll do that the day we're just doing Downtown Disney, which Downtown Disney is very tiny at Disneyland. And then I went up to the monorail because the monorail, you get a view of things and like anybody, like the monorails here are free. There's 3 of them. One goes just from parking to Magic Kingdom. One goes from parking to the 3 resorts at Magic Kingdom and Magic Kingdom. And then one goes from Magic Kingdom to Epcot. If you take the one from Magic Kingdom to Epcot, you get an actual really cool tour of Epcot above everything. So that's been really neat to see. You can look over the walls at the construction right now. So the kids and I wanted to do that at Disneyland and we went, they wanted like our tickets. Like you can't go on the monorail for fun there. Like you can go on the monorail for fun at Disney World.
Yeah. There's none of that there. So
no.
Let's go into. Are we onto Mr. Toad's Wild Ride now?
We are. Why don't you kick
All right.
us off?
Well, so this is a Disneyland OG. It was open the day that Disneyland opened back on July 17th, 1955. And actually, it's still at Disneyland today, which takes guests to hell and back, much like most of their original rides that are terrifying. See the Country Bear Jamboree. It actually goes to hell. And the room is even heated. Ooh. I don't know why.
My kids were like, what's happening? What's going on? When we were there, it was freezing. I appreciated the heat.
You went when it rained a bunch.
Yes, it rained the whole time we were at Disneyland. I was
not
so cold
much
the whole
most
time.
of the time. It was also there the day that Magic Kingdom opened, but has since closed as of 1998 to make way for Winnie the Pooh. In the Pooh Bear ride in Owl's house, you can see a picture of Toad handing Owl the deed. And you can also see a tombstone of Mr. Toad just outside the exit of the Haunted Mansion on the left in the Pet Cemetery. The ride is based on the adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which came out in 1949. Listen, it was a whole different generation then. Everything is terrifying back in those days. This cartoon actually had 2 parts, each based on a different novel. The first part, which the attraction is loosely based on, is an adaptation of the 1908 children's novel, The Wind in the Willows. The second part of the film is based on the legend of Sleepy Hollow. Everybody should kind of know that at this point. The Disneyland ride is partially built.
Ichabod, do you think that?
Yeah, as soon as you hear the word Ichabod, Sleepy Hollow, Headless Horseman, come on, we get it. The Disneyland ride is partially built underneath the Alice in Wonderland ride. And final, one of the ride's vehicles retired and became a Halloween decoration in Cars Land at Disneyland California Adventure, which I actually was there during the Halloween season last year.
Lucky son of a bitch. See, that's a Disney thing I've never done.
Dude, it's so cool. They turn the cones into like these scary cones with like mouths that are all creepy and stuff. And they have the Oogie Boogie out there. They turn the whole front of the California Adventures as a giant Oogie Boogie. It's so cool. I love Halloween so much.
When we did our road trip, we were there like the first weekend in November, but it was all Christmas already. The Halloween was done.
November 1st, it's Christmas already. They overnight.
Well, and what's interesting, and I'm sure it's the same at Disneyland, and I highly recommend anybody go YouTube this. They go from Halloween to Christmas at Magic Kingdom and Disneyland literally overnight. And you can watch a clip of just fast forward motion of them just taking down jack-o'-lanterns and putting up wreaths.
Yep. They have the it's man, Disneyland, Disney World during the months of like August through December 31st. That's the time to go, folks. Trust me. It's just a whole new world.
Yeah, but the parties have gotten insane. I actually looked into...
Oh, God. Did you see how people were selling the Oogie Boogie Bash tickets for like thousands of dollars? It's stupid.
Wow. I did not see that.
And Disney was like condemning it all. And they actually broke the system the first time. So they had to come back and do it like July 11th. It was crazy. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I haven't done the Christmas party here in years. And like, so the 2 youngest have never done it. So I was like, that would be really fun. I'm like, maybe we'll do that, as a Hanukkah gift and we can still celebrate it during the season. And starting the lowest tier price in November on a Tuesday was $140 a person. If you're a pass holder, that was the pass holder rate. When we went years ago, it was like 56. We had Kaylee's 7th birthday party at Mickey's Not So
Insane.
Scary Halloween because it was like $43 a person with our annual pass.
We are looking to go to Disney for Oliver's birthday next December. So keep that in mind.
Well, the thing is, okay, if you're going and you don't live here and you pay that, the party starts at 7 and usually ends at about 1, but you can get into the park at 4. So you're in the park from 4 to 1. That's the thing too. The kids fall asleep early, so the kids can't hang. So it's like, are you really going to pay that much? And the things that you're getting that are extra, as you know, are all the things that everybody wants to do. So those things are crowded. The Christmas parade, the Christmas fireworks. You do get complimentary hot cocoa and cookies, which is fun.
And it's too hot.
Well, it depends. Sometimes in December it's 30 degrees. Sometimes in December it's 90 degrees. But I think by the time the sun goes down in December, you're fine. But it's just so much. But I honestly think the Halloween party is better. All right.
Well, how about you rush us into Tom Sawyer's Island?
So Tom Sawyer's Island, I think, is very underrated.
Get the joke? Come on.
Rush us into Tom Sawyer's Island.
Rush. My name's Tom Sawyer. Mean bride. Bam. Come on, man. I hit gold on that one. I hit gold.
So this is an island just made to explore based on the adventures of Tom Sawyer. This is the only attraction designed by Walt himself that is at both parks. You have to take a boat to get there. This spot would be so much better, though, if it had food or beer on the island. They used to have food at one point, but they do not anymore, at least not at Magic Kingdom. If you do bring a lunch, it's a great spot to find a picnic and some rocking chairs and enjoy. You also get some cool views of the parks from a different perspective. This is honestly one of those places, if it's just like a super crowded day, like take the little boat over there and you can find a spot that is not overly crowded. And kids love it. All of my kids, when they were little, all 3 of them loved it. It had a bit of an update in 1996 to be consistent with the new movie that had Jonathan Taylor Thomas. And cast members used to hide paintbrushes on the island, and whoever found them each day would get a prize, such as a free fast pass. Of course, they don't do that anymore because fast passes are only for purchase these days. Kids, there are no more free passes. You know, I want to blame COVID. No, I blame the Disney CEOs. But COVID, that was one of the changes during COVID. Before the last time I was at the park, before COVID, you got 3 free fast passes a day.
Wow. That's true. That's true. Yeah. And nope, not anymore, man. It's all about that money that they don't need, but they. All right. Let's go into the Haunted Mansion, which opened in Disneyland in August of 1989 and Magic Kingdom in 1971 with the park. Both are still open and very popular today. I love this ride. It's very chill. I love the little effects that they have. It's a lot of fun. The newest movie is actually really more based off the ride than the 2003 Eddie Murphy film. So while Walt was around to see the outside of the Disneyland Haunted Mansion, sadly, he passed away before it opened. Walt visited the Winchester. Jeez.
Did you just mispronounce that last name? All the work we've done these past few months, and you fuck that up. Try again.
Walt visited the Winchester Mancino to get inspiration.
Mansion. That was my bad. I misspelled mansion.
What's on the prompter? Oh, God.
What are you, Ron Burgundy?
All right. Chick 3.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Walt visited the Winchester Mansion to get inspiration for the Haunted Mansion. Disney World's mansion is modeled after the Gothic 18th century home of the Hudson River Valley because it is part of Liberty Square, while Disneyland is inspired by the Greek revival movement because that was popular in the early 1800s. They designed it after the Shipley Lydekker House, which was constructed in Baltimore City, Maryland in 1803, and they placed it in New Orleans Square, which Magic Kingdom does not have. And the new movie looks like the Disneyland version, very much does. They have the Hatbox Ghost played by that stupid piece of shit, Jared Leto.
We'll get into that in a minute. The gift shop is called Memento Mori, which means remember death. Also a really good architect song for my
members out there.
They used to have the best fucking Disney souvenir ever there. And I only have it from 2 of my kids. And I never got it for Logan because he wasn't big enough. And now it's gone. You used to, for $20, be able to get your picture taken and they would give it to you. And at an angle, you would be like a skeleton.
Oh.
So I have it for both the girls and I put it out at Halloween. And I was waiting for Logan to hit like 5 because he was just a baby when Brielle got it done.
You waited too long.
And they don't do it anymore.
The wrong boy died that day.
That was one of the coolest Disney souvenirs. It turns in like you're like one of those paintings in the hallway that they're like a regular painting.
Get those
and they're
made
like,
just from third-party websites.
I've heard, but I have yet to see one that I felt was credible. So if anybody is listening to this and they know of a credible website that can turn my son into a skeleton.
All right, Casey Anthony, calm down there.
She was my kid's name. Her daughter's name was Kaylee Marie. Yikes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. At Disneyland, the stretch.
She lived like 10 minutes from here.
Oh my God, it gets even worse.
Do you know when her trial was going on, I was actively practicing law and it was a nightmare to get into that courthouse every day. I had to park at like the top of the parking garage. Fortunately,
went to
attorneys.
The courthouse where her whole thing was going down?
I had foreclosure hearings. I had to.
Wow.
Fortunately, though, if you're an attorney, you can go in through the back. But the parking was a nightmare. So when that case finally ended, it was so nice. Well, it didn't end the way it should have ended, but it was nice.
She's still out there running around free, apparently.
Yeah.
Anyways, at Disneyland, the stretching room is an elevator that takes you down. At Magic Kingdom, it actually goes up. Ooh, I was actually wondering this. I was very curious about this one. Your ghost host is the same voice as Boris from Rocky and Bullwinkle, a.k.a. the Pillsbury Doughboy.
And the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Okay.
Yeah. Rocky and Bullwinkle, a.k.a. the Pillsbury Doughboy.
I meant... Whatever. It's not uncommon that people dump loved ones' ashes at the mansion in hopes of being that 1,000th ghost. It's technically illegal.
There's always room for one more.
There
it's definitely illegal.
It's illegal, and your loved one will actually end up in a vacuum cleaner, which kind of sounds funny. I hope this happens to me one day. A report by Wall Street Journal published in 2018 confirmed a long-established urban myth stating that the custodians at the Walt Disney Company use code words to tackle these problems. HEPA cleanup is the code used for such events that require a special vacuum filter designed to suck up very fine particles like ash residue. There's got to be cameras, right?
Yeah, they can see you everywhere at Disney. You're not going to do anything there they can't see.
Dang. Well, there were random ravens throughout the ride as they were going to be narrators, and then the Imagineers changed their minds but kept the ravens because, quoth the raven, nevermore.
I was going to say, but don't quote them.
If traveling internationally, there are haunted mansions in Paris and Tokyo as well. Now, the Hatbox Ghost. Woo! So, the Hatbox.
Kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal. He was thought of a long time ago. Basically, this ghost was supposed to have his head suddenly show up in his hat box. Spooky. After years of the technology just not being able to be pulled off, he was placed in the ride when it opened up in Disneyland. However, the illusion still did not work. So after a couple of months, they took him out. They made him a cameo in the House of Mouse in 2003, and he showed up in the 40th anniversary merch. He's also been in a video game, used to promote pin stuff because pins are a very big deal to Disney adults. And he was also going to be in Guillermo del Toro's version of the Haunted Mansion, which actually never happened. And he's also been in comic books. Then.
All the while not being in the ride.
Correct.
But
wait, there's more. On April 10th, 2015, it was officially confirmed that the Hatbox Ghost figure would return to Disneyland Haunted Mansion. He's there now in the attic. He was played by Fozzie in the Muppets version.
And so cute.
I know. And will be in the new movie played by Jared Leto. We've talked about this. I don't care for Jared Leto. But this movie I'm actually going to go see tomorrow, which is in the past when we recorded this. I will not let you know my thoughts because we're on supporting the strike. So you'll just have to wait and see. Haha. Anyways, he looks like he should be coming to Magic Kingdom this year. However, Lauren will believe it when she sees it.
Because they announced it at like D23 or something, but then I already saw something that said it wasn't going to happen. I don't know. I did get to see him when I went to Disney. We didn't go on Haunted Mansion last time we were at Disneyland, but we went the time before because it was a Nightmare layover. And even in the Nightmare layover, though, you can still see the Hatbox Ghost. Like he's still prominently displayed.
It was pretty cool. I didn't even recognize that he wasn't there yet. I guess when I did the Disneyland version last year, but it was a cool way to get out of the heat, and he was there.
Yeah. Well, I already knew who he was. Like I even made like one of my kids has a shirt with him on it. And so when I saw him, I got excited. I was like fucking on cloud nine when I went on that because they had all the nightmare
just
stuff.
Disney adults. All right. That's just how we are. We love this
I know.
shit.
And you popped your cherry 7 years ago. It's crazy.
And now here we are. I try to go once a year, if not twice a year. Who knows how it would go?
But you got to put those notches in your belt with Carousel of Progress and Tiki
Lauren,
Room.
we're about to be 11 hours apart from each other. So
here's the thing. Do the monorail pub crawl and then do the classic rides because those rides don't have lines.
We're 11 hours away from each other. We'll talk more.
That's you say that like it's like a half an hour.
It is. After living in fucking Idaho, yes, it is.
Well, and there's no time. I will say going across the country is a lot more exhausting than staying in a time zone.
Catching multiple planes. I'm very used to having to drive multiple hours to get to places. 11 hours is nothing.
And we'll no longer have to specify time zones when we text. Too.
And so we're going to meet up here soon. Anyways, Madame Leota, they actually had a daughter of the original woman play her for the Nightmare Overlay. This same woman made a cameo in the Muppets Haunted Mansion, which came out last year on Disney Plus. That's all I have.
So should we talk about some of the polls you did?
Yes. Let's talk about some of the polls that I did on our Facebook and in other various forums. Why don't you lead us on this one?
So Matt posted on our Hops Geek News Facebook page, what is everyone's favorite classic Disney ride? So he didn't say favorite ride. He did specify classic. Because like, honestly, today I would say Cosmic Rewind. Corey said Teacups, which that was my favorite ride when I was little. Andrew said no idea, never been. Andrew was on our mental health and superheroes episode. But yes, it looks like he's going for his birthday soon. So that's fun. It'll be interesting to hear somebody going for the first time as an adult, much like you did. But it's like my husband, we just spent all day at Disney on Monday and he's like,
Josh hates it. I love it. You know what?
I'm good for another 10 years. We got another It's a Small World.
Ugh.
Micah said Dumbo.
That's a random one.
That is a random one. Dumbo, they did redo Dumbo back in like 2012 and now there's a playground. Rather like you can wait and you still end up waiting a little bit in the line, but you can spend part of your queue time at the playground and they give you a little buzzer like you're at a restaurant. And I do love that because it's an air conditioned playground and the kids are concealed. So it's very nice to just like sometimes we go in there and we don't even do the ride. We just let the kids play. All right. Matt LaFlamme said Pirates and Haunted Mansion. I like those answers.
I love him.
I don't know him, but I respect him. Carol said Small World, Teacups, and one more I can't think of.
Small World, people
hate Teacups. I'm surprised at all the Small Worlds.
Carrie, if she was here, would also say it's a Small World. I've ridden that so many times and it is hell. If my version of hell is riding It's a Small World on repeat.
I will say Disneyland Small World is better. It's way better.
It's all awful. It's bad.
But Disneyland goes inside and outside, and Disneyland incorporates Disney characters into Small World. Our Small World does nothing, and Disneyland has a Christmas layover. I have a picture of Ski sleeping on Small World. Patrick said definitely Space Mountain. This is another one I can respect. However, he then said his modern favorite ride is Mission Space, but he has a rant about it. Mission Space is my least favorite ride at all the Disney parks.
Why?
Because it's terrible and just makes you feel nauseous.
No, it's fun. However, I agree with Patrick in his rant that they should let you self-pilot your landing.
But Patrick has not been on Cosmic Rewind, so he would probably change his answer to Cosmic Rewind or Rise of the Resistance.
Classic.
And then Jennifer said Haunted Mansion. No, Patrick said classic is Space Mountain. Then he said modern is 100% Mission Space.
Oh,
but he hasn't been on all their modern rides.
Consider Mission Space modern, but
Let me see when Mission Space opened.
Fun fact, Carrie was actually pregnant with Oliver at the time that we went to Disney for the first time together. So.
Oh, no.
Yes. That is our Disney rides, classic rides that I haven't ridden, and also Haunted Mansion. Get ready for the hot box ghost. Yes, it's actually Snoop Dogg hot boxing his car with Martha Stewart while we get ready for the movie, right? That's just how it goes. No, get ready for the Hatbox Ghost and the Haunted Mansion in theaters everywhere now. Go ride those rides. Yeah, I'm going to be moving close to proximity, which hopefully means that we can do more things together as a podcast. I know we've been talking about for months. In a couple of weeks, it's going to come to fruition. We are going to be on East Coast time. We are hopefully going to be able to meet up in places like Asheville, Boone, Orlando, Richmond. Jeremy is in Virginia Beach, so we're all going to be able to meet up here hopefully soon. A lot of good things coming for you guys. Go check out our Patreon, where we released our X-Men United, X2, X-Men United episode for our patrons. And lots of good things happening there. And everything goes into the Comic-Cons, which there are 4 of them that we are actually planning on going to next year. Tune into those. We will see you guys next time, where we interview Josh Trujillo, who is the writer of Blue Beetle, Graduation Day. He also has a Blue Beetle run coming out in September. He's done a lot of great Marvel, DC comics, and Washington's Gay General, the story of Baron von Steuben, which we'll dive into a little more. Go to Nerd Initiative, where you can go ahead and find all of my comic book reviews. Lauren will be there soon enough. Thanks for hanging out. Cheers.